Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle three really crucial roles in education that people mix up all the time, but they're absolutely essential to how we all learn: the pedagogue, the dietitian, and the trainer of trainers.
All right, so let's just jump right in, shall we? This question right here, it's the classic point of confusion, and it's what sparked this entire explainer. These words might sound kind of academic, but they represent totally different ways of looking at teaching and learning.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to unpack these three roles, figure out what makes each one tick, and this is the important part: see how they all need to work together to build a really solid educational system, especially with how much things are changing these days. First up, let's talk about the big picture thinker, the one with the 30,000-foot view of it all, the pedagogue. You know, this is such a perfect way to describe them. We're not just talking about a teacher in the everyday sense of the word. A pedagogue is a true visionary. They're the ones looking past the pop quiz on Friday to the ultimate horizon. What's the real point of all this education anyway? And here's the absolute key. It all comes down to their core question. A pedagogue isn't really focused on how to teach, say, algebra. They're asking the much bigger, more fundamental question: why are we teaching this in the first place? They pull from philosophy, psychology, even sociology to really get the student's journey. So, what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it means they're looking way beyond grades and report cards. They're concerned with the whole person. They're asking questions like, what's the vibe of this school like? Are we actually building good character? Is this learning environment fair for everyone? It's all about the purpose behind the test scores. Okay, so we've got the big why from our philosopher, the pedagogue. Now let's zoom right into the nitty-gritty how. And for that, we need to meet the architect of learning, the didactician. And this slide just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? You see the shift. We move from the pedagogue's big philosophical why to the specialist's very practical, very focused how. It's all about going from that wide panoramic view down to the specifics of teaching one subject really well. Right, so if the pedagogue is the visionary pointing to a destination on the horizon, the didactician is the architect who draws up the actual blueprints for the road to get there. They design the plan for a specific subject, making something complex like chemistry or history actually make sense. And their work is super hands-on. It's really technical. They're the ones building the curriculum from the ground up. They're picking the right tools for the job. Should we do a group project or a debate or maybe a lab? And then, critically, they figure out how to test if any of it actually worked. They are always researching what the evidence says works best for their field. Okay, but wait a second. Who teaches the teachers how to do all this stuff? Well, that brings us to our third role. And honestly, this one might just be the most complex of them all.
Yeah, you'll sometimes hear this role called a super didactician, which I love, or simply a trainer of trainers. This is the person whose job it is to create that next wave of great educators. And let me tell you, that requires a really unique mix of skills.
What makes this role so special comes down to this idea of a dual competence. It just means they have to be a master of two different but totally interconnected domains. So let's break down exactly what those two areas of expertise are. Okay, so first off, you have to be an absolute expert in your subject, right? You can't train physics teachers if you aren't a brilliant physicist yourself. But, and this is so important, that's not enough. You also have to be an expert in the art and science of teaching physics. And the specific way you make physics click for a teenager is completely different from how you'd make literature come alive. So you see, this person acts as a vital bridge. They connect deep subject knowledge with the practical skills needed to actually teach it. They ensure that future teachers don't just know their stuff, but can actually make it engaging and understandable for their students. All right, so we've met the visionary, the architect, and the master builder. Now let's pull it all together and see how they're all working towards a single shared goal: building a better education for everyone. And this table just sums it all up beautifully. The big takeaway here is that this isn't a ladder. It's not a hierarchy where one role is better than another. Nope, these are complementary jobs. The pedagogue provides the why, the didactician provides the how, and the trainer teaches others how to teach the how. They all need each other. Exactly. And if you think about it like building a house, it makes perfect sense, right? The entire construction gets really shaky if you're missing one of these pillars. You need the visionary's purpose, the architect's plan, and the master builder's skill to actually put it together. Take one away and the whole structure starts to wobble. And so this leaves us with a final, really powerful question to think about. In our world that's changing so incredibly fast, how do we make sure our educators embody all of these essential qualities? How do we prepare them to be not just skilled technicians of teaching, but also wise, critical thinkers who are ready to shape the future? That's a challenge worth chewing on.